This is my 11-year-old puppy named River, and she has a problem. Her food bowl, or food stand, should I say, is broken, and I need to print a new one for her. So this is the original stand, and you can see that it's not super thick, and I didn't do a great job of reinforcing these areas. I probably could have put some little stuff over there to make it a little stronger. Some ribs in there probably would have been better than just a general fillet, but that's what I did, and it failed. So we need to find something that's a little stronger, a little better, also a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. So let's go in here. We're going to start off with sketch. And I'm thinking that I just want to build a kind of like a trash can looking thing, just a cylinder going up with some design work. I'm not sure what that is yet, but we'll figure it out. So I'm going to start off with a ring that's going to represent the diameter of the dog bowl, which is 7.5 inches. And I think I'm going to make it about a 1/4 inch thick, which means I need to come out a 1/2 inch because we need to have a 1/4 inch on one side and the other adds up to a 1/2 inch. So I'll finish that sketch. And what I'm thinking of doing right now is this ring. I want to punch a bunch of holes into it and then have them repeat kind of an offset pattern going up. I think that's what I want to do. We'll find out. So I'm gonna put that. We'll play with this. I'm gonna really have to fine tune some things to get this dialed in exactly where I want it to be. But we'll figure all that out here in due time. So from there, I'm gonna go sketch and we're gonna go and let's try a 1 inch circle. Okay, and from the bottom to there, I want it to be 1/8 of an inch. I think that's gonna. I think that'll work. We'll find. We can always go back and fix it if it doesn't. But now what I'm gonna do is when I extrude this out, I'm not gonna join it into this other thing. Generally, when I'm doing things inside of Onshape, I like to keep them as single parts and just kind of go from there. But what I think I want to do on this one is have it not be added to this, but make it an entirely new part. That's going to allow us to do a couple of things. The main thing it does is it allows us to do a circular pattern. If we do a circular pattern where I cut that hole out and then try to do a pattern, it's going to fill in all of the things that already are there. So the hole's just going to disappear because it's getting covered up by other stuff. But with a separate part, we can do it a little differently. So we're going to go to circular pattern. It's going to ask us for two questions: the entities, which I'm going to select the cylinder that we placed there, and the axis, which is going to be this one. Then we can go through and do that. I'm going to say I want 18 of them or so. The inside doesn't matter. We're only really concerned about the spacing on the outside. And I'm going to say, hey, I want it to remove and I want to merge with all. So what that's going to do is going to merge all of those shapes into one final part. So now you can see part 2 disappeared. It became merged into part 1, which is exactly what I'm looking for. So now we're going to do another sketch and we're going to come up here. I can actually finish that sketch right away. I'm going to extrude that one up. I'm going to do another, I don't know, let's just do 1 inch for now because I already had a little space there. I want to try to get this kind of in that area. So we have 360 and we have 18, which means it's 20 degrees. So that means if we wanted to be, everyone is 20, each space between here is 20 degrees. So if we want it to be offset halfway, it needs to be 10 degrees. In order to do that, we're going to need a plane. And when we go into plane, you can see that we have a thing called line angle, where you can actually find a line and set an angle for the work plane to exist, and it will build it. The problem is that we need to have something to go on there, an entity. We might be able to select our plane, and it looks like it's letting us do that, but sometimes I've had issues where it doesn't. You can kind of see right now, it's not showing any plane on there because there's no real entity to do that with. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to flip over here to the front view. I'm going to get sketch. And I'm just going to make some random block that's based on the origin and goes away from it. One of these lines is going to be that reference point for that plane. We just need to extrude this and we can cut this away later. And I'm going to have it go towards the back. All right, now when I go into plane, we're on line angle and I'm going to say, hey, I want this line. Okay, maybe not that line. Maybe I want it to be this line. Or that line. I don't know. Let's go back here and see what we got. So let's try this line first. And then let's go and try that one. Oh, the reason why I didn't put the number of degrees. I put it at 0 degrees. I'm an idiot. All right, let me go ahead and fix that back up here. So I'm going to go in and do that. And there we go. That's what I want. I want it to be as close to the front view as possible just because it's easier to work with. And then I'm going to turn off my other planes. So I'm going to turn the visibility off on front, top, and right so I can focus on that plane. So I'm going to sketch onto that plane now. I'm just going to go to my front view. I'm not going to zoom into that particular plane because I don't think I need to. But we're going to base this on the origin. When it comes straight up, I'm going to set another 1-inch diameter. And dimensionally here, I'm going to dimension from here to our origin. And let's say we want that to be 1.5. What does 1.25 look like? I think that's going to be down a little too much. So let's do 1.5. Basically, I want this to cut in here, but not into the rest of it. And we'll hit OK at that point. And now, because that's at that 10-degree angle, everything's based off the origin, I can extrude this guy out. We'll do it at 4.5 like we did the other one. And we can get an idea here. Does that spacing work? And I think it does. We're just going to go ahead and hit new to make sure we're adding that on. And then we'll do the same exact thing again that we did before. Circular pattern. Our axis pattern is going to be this circle. And I want 18 of them. There we go. And I want to remove and merge with all. I'll hit my green check. And there we go. And then we'll take care of this part in just a moment. Now, come to think of it, we actually don't need to remove this. We can just find part 2 here and hide it. Same with part 3. And they can just not exist anymore. And that's totally fine. We have a little bit of a height issue here. I think we can actually bring that down a little bit. So I'm going to go to extrude, I guess extrude 5? No. Well, extrude 3. There it is. All right, I'm going to bring that down. So instead of 1 inch, maybe we'll do 0.75 or 3/4. There we go. That spacing is much better because basically we're going to stack this right on top of there. So I might even need to lower that even more. I'll play with that and we'll see what happens here. Let's try 0.5 and just see what that does. Nope, see, when it gets right on the edge there, it doesn't work. So we're going to undo that. We'll keep it at that one. We can, again, still play with the spacing, not a big deal. But the next thing we're going to do, actually, I need to turn one of these back on. Let's turn, yeah, we'll turn that one on. The next thing we need to do here is we actually are going to stack these on top of each other. So the entire height of this thing is, I think, 3 inches-ish. 2.5-ish, little under that, but that's fine. We'll fix that in a moment. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and instead of a circular pattern, we're going to do a linear pattern this time around. The direction is going to be going up, and we know that it's a 2.25, so I'm going to have 3 of them. And the instance count, excuse me. We want 3 of those to happen, and 2.25. There we go. You just put in whatever the height is. It'll repeat itself. And then we can just add them all together and merge scope. When we hit, not merge scope, okay. We'll go back, we'll merge those together. You can see I need to work on the spacing a little bit more here, but I'm pretty happy with what that looks like. And then what I want to do as well, I want to make this inside part a little bit bigger, just so we have a little bit more space to work with. I can also throw a fillet on there if I'd like, just to add a little bit of strength. But more I'm looking just to have a little bit more stability. And then I'll also throw some fillets on the entire curved surface. So we can do that there. And when we hit our green check here, you can see that all of the surfaces on both sides, well, we'll get that one in a second, have been there. You can see it's there. It just hasn't there. The visuals finally popped into place. So we'll go ahead. I'm going to do some modifications to this still to get the spacing right, but I'll show you the final product before we print. Okay, and here is the final thing for now. The spacing is not perfect. There's a little bit extra space there, but honestly, I don't really care about that. You can see this inside ring that I added on there is a little bit of straight edge, and then it fillets up, and then it's filleted on the top as well. This is going to be way stronger than what we need to do for anything else. So we're going to export this as an STL. We're going to pull it over into Orca Slicer. We'll slice it up and see what happens. Okay, we're opening this thing now into Orca Slicer, and one thing to note here, we have more than 1 million triangles to process this thing, so it's probably going to be very slow. We could simplify the model. The only thing I don't like about simplifying the model is you see all these little angles here. When I go to simplify the model, what you'll notice is there's going to be a lot more kind of straight lines. You can see there's a little bit of straight areas because that's what it has to do, but now look at it. The meshes are significantly bigger. They're not nearly as smooth. I don't like that at all. And you can really play with the level of detail. You can say, hey, I want extra low detail, and this thing should be horrid as far as what it's going to do here. And then if we go ahead and I want to say extra high level of detail, it's going to increase that number of triangles, and it looks way better. So you can always play with those things to see what it is. I'll apply that one for now, just because it's a little shorter of a print, because it's simplified. It should be, I think it's going to be faster. Let's go ahead and preview, see how long this thing's going to take. But this is going to be a wild slice just because even though we simplified it, it's still a lot of triangles. You can see it's actually calculating the lines for each of the G-code layers now, and it's hanging there. And this is going to be about an 11-hour print by the time it's all said and done. But I think this is going to work out really well. So we're going to throw this on the printer and see what happens, and hopefully River is going to be a happy puppy. And here's the final result. I'm pretty happy with it. The print quality is kind of terrible, but it's because of the filament. This is leftover filament that I found at a garage sale like 3 years ago, and it's terrible. But it's super cool that this design worked, and I think it looks pretty neat, and you can do this with it, which is really fun. I really like just playing with this thing. I have some ideas of just making things like this with it, but I digress. So that's what I built for River. The end result, the process, and all of the bumps and bruises in between. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you later.